I only want to keep you for 10, 15 more minutes. So it'd be wrong of me to not bring up the Jonathan Gannon conversation because I talked about this. Now I do this stuff because I want to have major emotion. I as soon as the game's over, I flick on the camera. I don't even have a thought. I don't plan for a reaction video. I want it to be all this is what I think. And then I want to see 5 days from now. Do I still feel that way? And with some things about Kyler, I've pulled back a little bit because I was so harsh. Some things about Marv, I've pulled back a little bit. I don't know if I've pulled back on this one. Jonathan Gannon, I think, starts next season on the hot seat. Because here's the thing. We were all sold on this idea of, hey, this team is going to figure it out. They're progressing steadily. The rebuild is doing the turn. And I think it turned during that Eagles game last year when they beat the Eagles on the road. And now it's we have put the rebuild that was chugging along in just full on reverse. And now we're going backwards. Like that's how bad it's been. And please spare me the argument of, well, listen, if I would have told you we were going to have 7 wins through 14, 15 weeks, you'd be like, hey, that's an improvement. No, expectations change. They were 6-4 through 10 weeks and controlled their destiny and had some even breaks to give to still get in the playoffs. And they crapped the bed. He didn't get them ready to play early in that Panthers game. I know the officiating wasn't great, but still, he didn't get them ready to play in that Panthers game. The Vikings game, he didn't trust his quarterback to. I was at that game. I'm like, dude, go for it. They're going to score. You've seen this. They're going to score. Go for the touchdown. There were multiple times this year he didn't get them ready. And the Packers game didn't get him ready. And there were horrendous penalties. I almost forget about that game. It was so bad. Is Jonathan Gannon still the right guy, especially in an offensive-driven league? I've also had this of like, maybe they're just trying to change the culture because he is a culture changer guy, and I think he's very smart. But it's also an offensive-driven league. Does Jonathan Gannon need to start next year on the hot seat? And if the next year we have a 6-1 season, is he out the door? Or are you still sold on JG and love what he does? And I'm kind of the same way too, but I've got to kind of question his methods here because one of the things that drives me insane about JG is one, his press conference the other day where he totally changed. It was, oh, we are here. I want killers. And then it's, we're just here for the fun of by golly competition. Like that's what changed with JG. It was, we want bleeping killers. And now it's, well, heck, we get to go all the way to LA this week for a business trip. We just love competing. Gosh darn it. Are you losing faith in JG? Where are you at?
It's funny because like to me right now, my mind is not even at JG, but next year it will be for sure. Right now, it's one of those things where Jonathan Gannon, although shown some things here and there, that culture can be changed, and it's funny because that's what people don't understand, especially when you watch football. You got 17 games in a year, in a season that. Things change, man, from week to week, right? And it really depends. And you're right. If people would have said 7 wins, people would have said progressive. But you're right. When you're starting at 6-4, it seems like an absolute bloody shame that you completely just killed any sense of maybe the Cardinals could potentially make, a playoff run. And they should have, man. They had everything in their hands with the way that the NFC West shook out. It is frustrating to see that because you want to see your head coach have that same, what's the word I'm trying to say? Not narrative, but that same mindset of biting kneecaps, right? Because although I don't really watch the Lions press conferences to the point like that, but everybody looks at the Lions and says, oh, that's what we want to be, right? That's the rebuild that we're trying to go after. And you're right. When you hear Jonathan Gannon start off with that saying fire in the gut, right? You want killers, you want violence, and then you come out like that. It does kind of seem like a slap in the face because this Cardinals organization, or at least a lot of the diehards, were willing to back you and to say, hey, man, I know we had some struggles, but we're here, man. We're here to try to, and we're not a lot of us. Let's be honest. We're not a lot of diehards out there, especially because we always get outdone in the State Farm. But what I'm trying to say is like they were bought in. We were bought into the idea. So to your question, do I think the hot seat needs to be talked about next year? Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And especially because I've said this in a few streams ago, and I was talking to a pro Kyler Murray fan at that point, which has now changed, but now acknowledges that we're stuck. I told him that one of the main reasons why I would love to see the Cardinals plan for the future, and I'm not saying tank, but have a backup plan and have something like that, is because JG is tying his career to Kyler. He's tying his career because if you have one more year, let's be honest, if Kyler comes back in 2025, if you don't cut the cheese and you don't do good, you're pretty much out. The guaranteed salary stops in 2025. JG, your career is time, especially with all the things that you're seeing or hearing from JG. When everybody the media asks him about it, it's all nothing but glowing remarks and like, oh, he's a warrior. I don't want to hear he's a warrior when you lost to the Panthers, the worst team in the NFL. Come on, let's start bringing some actual real stuff out of you, right? I get why he does it. He wants to build a culture that we're not throwing people under the bus. But at the end of the day, you got to call it like it is, because people are going to start questioning, do you truly think that this quarterback is going to win you A, the division, or B, the Super Bowl, which exactly what we should be going for year in, year out. But that's just the thing, man. The Cardinals, we rebuild for what, 5 or 6 years, and then we're good for like a year or two, and then we start rebuilding again. So yes, I do believe that he should be on the hot seat. And if I don't see him do anything, and I know it's not his fault, but Monty Austin and him have meetings that they talk about the roster. So he should have some sort of input about bringing in another quarterback. If he has some sort of little sliver of doubts, yes, he should be on the hot seat to kind of make that answer long. Yeah.
Yeah. I understand that some people, as well with Monty and JG, were like, why didn't you spend more money in the offseason? And my thing was always like, why would you? First off, and to all these people that want them to spend all this money on the defense, like, first off, free agency is fool's gold every single year. I think it is actually way smarter to be frugal, find one guy that you really like, pay him a lot of money. But outside of that, it's a lot of be frugal. Jordan, we all forget about Jordan Phillips years ago. They gave him $9 million a year. He was horrendous. Sean Murphy Bunting was seen as their best guy. That he's been bad. Like, he's too busy hanging out with Bobby Altoff to really have an idea of how to play football. The Patriots a few years ago spent the most money and were horrendous the next year.
Yeah.
The Jags spent all this money on Christian Kirk, went to the playoffs, won a game. That's what it's been ever since. They haven't done anything after that. So a lot of it's done through the draft. A lot of it's done through trading. So the Kyler JG thing is this. He's not better than Sam Bradford and Sean McVay. He's not better than Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan. Maybe you want to say Kyler's still better than Brock at his peak. I don't even think you can have that argument anymore, unfortunately. But Kyle Shanahan is so much better than both that still goes over both of them. Mike McDonald and Geno Smith beat the tar out of them twice this year.
Yeah.
Is it undisputable right now the Cardinals have the worst quarterback head coach combination in the division? And I'm not so sure how close it is. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's a good call out in terms of linking them like that. Yeah, I mean, in terms of what they've accomplished, I mean, the other head coaches and quarterbacks and what has happened this year, yeah, you could probably say they're down at the bottom. And it's unfortunate, man, because a lot of people, including myself, now JG wasn't my first head coaching option but at that time. But of course, when you bring somebody in and same thing like Monty Austin you got to kind of back them, right? Because the whole let Monty cook thing, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, that probably came from the majority of this channel here, the AZ Sports Fan. That's what it mainly came from. And then, of course, it spread like wildfire. The whole let them cook didn't come from, obviously, that was the whole let Russ cook. And that's where it came from. And I was just like, let Monty cook. And then it kind of game. So that's kind of on me as well. So, but yeah, I agree, man. I agree with the whole situation of, yeah, they might be down there because the whole Brock Purdy thing, I don't even want to compare Kyler Murray to any of these QBs anymore. Like, I just want to see him to win. Just show me. I don't want to rank you anymore. Just show me that you can actually win a meaningful game. Show me that you can win the division. And guess what? Although Brock Purdy's Mr. Irrelevant, he's proven that he can win at least a playoff freaking game and make his team competitive, every single year, with the exception of this one, of course. But he's shown that. Geno Smith, I was laughing. Oh, you're going to go in with Geno Smith as your quarterback?
Oh, man.
And then look how dumb we look. It's just culturally, the Seahawks, they don't go away. I don't know what it is, regardless if it's Pete Carroll or Mike McDonald, they don't go away. In my NFC West roundtable show,
ownership.
Jake Ellenbogen said, oh, they're like the cockroaches of the NFC West. They don't go away. You're 100% correct. I don't understand it. I don't get it. They can go through a rebuild, but still win 7-8 games. Well, the Cardinals go through a rebuild and we're 4-win seasons back to back, and it's nuts. It's nuts. So Geno Smith, whatever he's doing, congratulations. And of course, Matthew Stafford, man, he's probably the best quarterback in this NFC West, and it's not even close. That guy he's clutch, and he's got a Super Bowl under his belt.
He might be the best quarterback in the conference.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I take him over, I think, everyone outside of Jordan Love, I think, is really close. I mean, that's a whole another discussion. But yeah,
Yeah.
Matt, that was never, and I never argued that. I never argued Kyler was better than Matthew Stafford. That dude is remarkable. The other two guys I argued, but you're right. I really love that point you said. I don't even want to compare him anymore.